She said she's only been with a few. You wanted to believe it because the truth felt heavier than the lie. But here's the reality most men ignore. Women rarely lie to deceive you. They lie to control your perception. That's why you can feel honesty missing even when every word sounds right. In this video, I'll break down the 8 signs she's lying about her body count. Not to shame her, but to protect you from the illusion. Once you understand the psychology behind these small, rehearsed deceptions, you'll never mistake emotional performance for genuine connection again. Most men think spotting a lie is about catching contradictions. It's not. It's about understanding why the lie exists in the first place. Once you see the psychology behind her behavior, you stop reacting emotionally and start leading logically. That's what this channel is for. To turn confusion into control, hesitation into clarity. If you're ready to stop being reactive and start being strategic, subscribe now and like this video. In the comments, write, "I lead with clarity, not emotion." Because once your mindset shifts, her manipulation loses power. Keep watching. The first truth I'm about to reveal will reset how you read every conversation from now on. Number 1. The vague story. When words hide the truth. You ask her a simple question. "How many guys have you been with?" She pauses, smiles softly, then says something that sounds harmless. "A few. I don't really remember." It's the kind of answer designed to make you stop digging. Polite, light, non-confrontational. But underneath that softness hides a calculated tactic. What you just witnessed is not shyness. It's strategy. She used language as camouflage. In psychology, this is called a linguistic smokescreen, giving just enough information to appear open, while revealing nothing of substance. It's the illusion of honesty. The human brain loves closure, so your mind fills in the blanks for her. You assume she's being sincere because she didn't technically lie. But notice something. The woman who truly has nothing to hide doesn't need fog. She speaks with clarity. She remembers details because those details mattered. Vagueness, on the other hand, is emotional armor. It allows her to protect her image while appearing transparent. It's a performance, a carefully rehearsed dance between truth and omission. She's not protecting your feelings. She's protecting how you see her. Here's the hard truth. Specificity is the enemy of a liar. Every detail limits the room to maneuver. Every concrete fact becomes a wall that corners her. She avoids them. She stays in the gray. And if you press further, she'll make you feel guilty for asking. She'll call it weird or insecure. That's how deception sustains itself, by making honesty seem inappropriate. Pay attention, not just to what she says, but to what she avoids. Because when her story fades into mist, that's not modesty. That's the moment the truth quietly leaves the room. Number 2, aggressive deflection, turning the question against you. You ask with calm curiosity. No accusation, no tension. But suddenly, she erupts. "Why would you even ask me that?" Are you that insecure? That moment of rage is not random. It's a smokescreen of another kind, an emotional flashbang. The goal is simple. Make the question itself the problem so she never has to answer it. In psychology, this move has a name, DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. She denies the question's legitimacy. She attacks your character. And then she reverses roles, turning herself into the victim of your toxicity. It's an elegant form of emotional control, because now, instead of focusing on her answer, you're focused on defending yourself. You start thinking, maybe I shouldn't have asked. Maybe I overstepped. That's how manipulation works. It infects your conscience. Understand this. Genuine people don't need explosions to tell the truth. A woman secure in her past might find the question uncomfortable, but she won't weaponize emotion to escape it. Anger this sharp isn't protection, it's concealment. When emotion becomes that defensive, it's not about hurt, it's about control. She's testing the frame of the relationship. If you flinch, she learns something crucial: that your need for peace is stronger than your need for truth. That's the power exchange she wanted. The moment you retreat, she knows she can use guilt and chaos to steer every uncomfortable conversation from now on. So when you see the fury, don't match it. Don't apologize for asking a fair question. Stay calm, because your composure exposes the act. When the answer threatens the image, the emotion becomes a weapon. Don't be tricked by the noise. The loudest person in the room is usually the one most afraid of silence. Number 3, the "it doesn't matter" defense. The philosophical trap. You've heard it before. The past is the past. It doesn't define me. She says it with calm confidence, maybe even a hint of wisdom, as if she's teaching you a lesson about emotional maturity. But underneath that serenity lies a carefully engineered moral trap. It's not an answer. It's a redirection. This tactic is called moral reframing, turning a question of honesty into a question of your values. Suddenly, you're no longer the man seeking truth. You're the man who's judgmental, insecure, or stuck in the past. She shifts the moral ground beneath your feet until you're the one on trial. Here's the psychology behind it. When someone's self-image clashes with their real history, it creates cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of living two truths at once. To relieve that tension, they rewrite the narrative. They declare the past irrelevant, so they don't have to reconcile who they were with who they want to appear to be. It's not always malicious. Often it's survival. Shame drives people to reinvent, but that reinvention becomes dangerous when honesty is sacrificed for image. Because what she's really saying isn't, "the past doesn't matter." She's saying, "the past doesn't serve me to tell you." The irony: the past always matters, not as a weapon, but as data. Her behavior, choices, and relationships are the pattern that predicts her emotional reliability. To ignore that is to walk blind into a field of red flags painted beige. Don't let pseudo-wisdom gaslight you. Real maturity isn't about erasing the past. It's about owning it. When someone minimizes the past, they're not showing peace. They're showing avoidance. And when avoidance replaces accountability, the future you build with them is already built on denial. So remember this: the past is not baggage. It's data. And only fools ignore the numbers. Number 4, the college phase excuse, rebranding the past. You've probably heard the line, "I had a wild phase back in college." She says it like she's confessing to something small, almost cute, a rite of passage, a chapter long closed. But in psychological terms, this isn't confession. It's rebranding. The word phase is chosen with surgical precision. It shrinks the scale, sterilizes the history, and creates distance between her and who she used to be. It's not a lie, it's a strategic edit. This is the minimization technique, compressing years of repeated behavior into a digestible narrative that sounds safe enough for you to accept. By calling it a phase, she frames it as a temporary detour instead of a pattern. And your brain, wired to believe in growth, fills in the story she doesn't tell, that she's learned, matured, evolved. But psychology disagrees with that comfort, because behavior doesn't vanish, it transforms or repeats. What she calls a phase was likely a lifestyle shaped by her emotional needs at the time: validation, excitement, or power. Those needs don't disappear after graduation, they just adapt to adulthood. That's why so many men are shocked later when the same old patterns resurface under new names: freedom, self-discovery, feeling lost. It wasn't a season, It was a signature. Understand this. People change when they confront their behavior, not when they rename it. If she truly faced that chapter, she'd speak about it with accountability, not charm. She'd acknowledge what drove it, not just the fact that it happened. So when she tells you it was just a phase, don't get angry, get curious. Ask yourself, has her mindset evolved, or just her vocabulary? Because here's the truth most men ignore. A phase is not a season. It's a pattern. And patterns, when left unexamined, always return. Only this time, they wear better clothes. Number 5. Inconsistent stories. The cracks in the script. It always starts small. A casual story over dinner. A memory shared at 1 a.m. on the couch. But then, weeks later, she mentions something that doesn't quite match. Different setting, different timeline, different version of the same event. You hesitate. Maybe you misheard. Maybe she forgot. But no. What you're seeing is the crack in the script. The truth requires no rehearsal. But deception demands memory. And memory is fragile. Every lie creates a new branch of reality she has to manage. And the more branches she builds, the harder it becomes to keep them straight. Psychologists call this cognitive overload. A liar must constantly track details, maintain tone, and adjust past statements to preserve continuity. But the subconscious doesn't cooperate. When she relaxes, when her emotional guard drops, her authentic memories surface. She forgets which version she told you and pulls from the real one. That's when the timelines start to shift. This isn't a one-time mistake. It's a pattern of inconsistency that exposes the architecture of deception. And here's the irony. She's not even lying to you first. She's lying to herself. She's trying to maintain the image she wants you to believe, while avoiding the discomfort of confronting her own truth. Your job isn't to catch her. It's to observe her. Don't interrupt. Don't confront. Don't accuse. Just listen, log, and compare. When stories overlap but details collide, you've found your evidence. Not the kind you need to argue, the kind you need to decide. Because once the stories begin to fracture, there's no going back. Every inconsistency is a breadcrumb leading back to the reality she wanted to bury. Remember this. The truth doesn't need rehearsal. Lies do. And every time she forgets her lines, you're not seeing confusion. You're watching the truth fight its way to the surface. Number 6. The I was young and drunk alibi. Escaping responsibility. You've heard this one too. I was young and stupid. Or the softer version. I was drunk. I didn't know what I was doing. It sounds harmless, almost relatable. We've all made mistakes in our youth, right? But listen carefully. This isn't a story of regret. It's a strategy of absolution. By wrapping her actions in the blanket of immaturity or intoxication, she's not taking ownership, she's outsourcing it. The narrative shifts from, I did this, to, this happened to me. That subtle change in language tells you everything you need to know. This is what psychology calls a victim narrative. The transformation of a decision into a circumstance. She reframes her behavior as something that happened to her, not something she chose. And that's dangerous because it signals a pattern of externalized responsibility. A woman who blames alcohol or youth for her past is telling you unconsciously that her moral compass is situational. When conditions change, when pressure, temptation, or chaos return, her boundaries shift with them. She's not anchored to principle. She's anchored to convenience. Here's the deeper insight. People who truly grow from their mistakes talk differently. They say, I made bad choices, and I learned. They don't hide behind context. They acknowledge consequence. So when she paints her past as a blur of accidents and confusion, don't pity her, study her. Because the same pattern that excused her past will eventually justify her future. If she blames alcohol for her past, she'll blame a moment of weakness for her future. It's not about judging her mistakes. It's about recognizing whether she's capable of owning them. Accountability isn't about perfection. It's about control. And character, no matter how charming the story sounds, doesn't change under pressure. It only reveals itself. Number 7. Unnatural physical comfort. The body remembers. When intimacy finally happens, you don't need words to know something feels off. She moves with confidence, too much confidence. There's a fluidity to her body that feels practiced, not passionate, controlled, not connected. Your gut notices before your brain does. You sense that this isn't the awkward tenderness of discovery. It's choreography. And that instinct? It's not insecurity. It's intuition. Psychologists call this somatic memory, the body's way of recording experiences beyond conscious thought. Every touch, every repetition leaves an imprint. Over time, those imprints become reflexes, movements performed without emotional engagement. When physical intimacy looks perfect but feels empty, that's the signal. You're not sharing a moment, you're witnessing a routine. This isn't about morality. It's about emotional desensitization, the psychological disconnect that forms when intimacy becomes mechanical. For some women, repeated short-term encounters dull emotional sensitivity. The act remains, but the meaning erodes. What's left is muscle memory without emotional presence. And here's the paradox. She might tell you she's only been with a few, but her body speaks a different dialect, one of repetition, precision, familiarity. The body can't lie. It remembers every rhythm long after the mind forgets the count. This isn't about shaming her experience. It's about reading reality. When a woman's touch feels professional but detached, when her eyes stay open but distant, you're not connecting. You're colliding with her history. Her body might move with confidence, but her soul may have checked out long ago. That's not an insult, it's a warning. Because physical fluency without emotional depth often signals someone who has learned to perform affection, not feel it. And that difference between performance and presence is what separates real connection from practiced illusion. Never ignore that gut feeling. It's not paranoia. It's your instincts recognizing what her words will never confess. The body remembers everything. Number 8. The company she keeps. Her friends. Tell the real story. You don't just date a woman, you date her world. Every friend, every circle, every social pattern, it all speaks louder than her words. Because no matter how independent she claims to be, no one is immune to social proof. Look closely at the company she keeps. Are her closest friends stable, grounded, building lives that mirror discipline and loyalty? Or are they constantly chasing chaos, late nights, blurry stories, and girls' trips that end in silence the next morning? Psychology calls this the mirror theory. We unconsciously become the average of the 5 people closest to us. That means her friendships aren't random. They're reflections of her values, her desires, and her threshold for accountability. If her inner circle thrives on drama, attention, and validation, she's swimming in an ecosystem that normalizes deception. Even if she's the good one, proximity changes perception. Over time, she either adapts to the group or isolates herself from it. And very few people choose isolation over belonging. This isn't about controlling who she knows. It's about observing what she admires. The people she defends reveal what she secretly approves of. The people she avoids reveal what threatens her comfort zone. When a woman surrounds herself with friends who glorify recklessness but calls herself different, listen to what she does, not what she declares. Because a tribe always tells the truth, its members won't say aloud. You don't date a woman, you date her ecosystem. Her friends are the mirror she can't edit, the version of herself she keeps when no one's watching. So pay attention to her circle. Not to judge, but to understand the environment shaping her values. Because if her closest allies celebrate deception, it's only a matter of time before she learns to justify her own. The people she keeps close will always reveal the person she's becoming. And that revelation? It's the final, silent truth most men never see coming. The truth is simple. The number doesn't destroy relationships. The lie does. Because it was never about counting bodies. It was about counting integrity. Every sign you've heard, the vague stories, the angry deflections, the philosophical traps, the college phase, the cracks in the script, the excuses, the emotional detachment, the toxic circle. They're not just warnings about her. They're reflections of something deeper, her relationship with the truth. Deception, in any form, is a signal of fear. The fear of being seen for who she really is. But here's where most men fail. They confuse that fear with femininity. They mistake manipulation for vulnerability. And then they pay the price for ignoring their instincts. You can't build honesty on half-truths. You can't build loyalty on performance. A woman's past isn't what defines her worth. Her honesty about it does. Because the woman who lies to preserve your approval will lie again to preserve her comfort. So ask yourself, are you building a relationship on trust or on image management? The difference determines whether you build peace or live in silent suspicion. And understand, awareness doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. You're not meant to hate women, you're meant to understand them. Because when you understand the code, their fears, their defense mechanisms, their emotional strategies, you stop being manipulated by them. You stop chasing illusions. Stop rewarding performance. Start valuing honesty. That's where your power begins. If this video woke something up in you, if you recognized even one of these signs, don't ignore it. Comment below what you've seen, what you've learned, or what you've survived. Share this with a man who still believes every smile means sincerity. And if you're ready to see women not through fantasy, but through psychology, subscribe to the Female Code. Because here, men stop guessing and start seeing.